Hey, it's Mike the Political Science Guy. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to talk a little bit about criticisms of millennials. Are they fair? I don't think they necessarily are, and I'll tell you why. They're kind of the generation that came after the baby boomers when real estate was expensive and higher education was expensive and medical care was expensive. So in a way, they kind of got screwed. And so if they're more interested in traveling than buying a home, it's because they know that they can't afford to buy a home where they work. Hopefully with the internet revolution and working from home, they'll be able to buy a home out of state and be able to have that entry into the middle class. But if they want to spend their time eating in nice restaurants and going on trips, I understand why they're doing it. I think it's a terribly short-sighted thing to be, but I understand that, hey, the entry into a house nowadays is crazy for a lot of them. Them not having as many kids. Well, yeah, again, that's a function of economics. Once you have a middle-class situation going on, you can afford to pop out kids. You can live in a neighborhood that's safe for your wife to walk down the street and for your children to go to a good school. So if they're not doing that and they're raising dogs and cats, that also is explained by economics, and it's explained by the economics of the generation that preceded them that took all the goodies away and left them with less. If they're too touchy-feely and sensitive, that could also be blamed on the previous generation that basically was very apt to give you a participation trophy and, mollycoddle your feelings and all that. So a lot of old crotchety baby boomers like to pick on that point and say that they're, not meant for being responsible adults, and this is a perfect example. Okay, I'll give you that one. But that, again, is a creature of how they were socialized by their parents. And the reality is that if that's all they got, then let them have it. But the reality is that it's better for them to own a home. It's better for them to have a profession. If higher education became exponentially more expensive as they were coming through the system and they didn't finish a degree, you know what? That has a lot to do with the fact that the previous generations made it so. Because they certainly didn't. When they were coming up through the system, they weren't voting yet. So bear that in mind. Also, just bear in mind that if they're going for all kinds of nutty self-help ways of medicating themselves, it's because healthcare is often too expensive and out of reach for a lot of them that are struggling. Now, I'm not talking about the ones that have made it. There's always exceptions in every generation that do. But, when you pick on an entire generation, remember there's a lot of stuff that goes on the previous generation that makes them the way they are. And the responsibility often isn't with them, it's with the previous generation. Well, that's it for me. I'm the American Political Science Guy on this round. Sometimes I do international. It's Mike the Political Science Guy. You take care. Thanks for checking in.